Good morning. It's Saturday morning, working a little bit of overtime today. Not allowed to make any noise until 8 o'clock because everybody's still in bed in their feety pajamas. So I will use this opportunity to rant at you about the fact that the penny is gone. So, not a big deal because pennies aren't worth anything anymore. But it's interesting that, they stopped they stopped minting pennies because they're losing money on it. It costs 4 cents for every penny. How does that happen? How does it get to a point where not only are they not breaking even on minting pennies, that they're losing money minting money? How does that happen? It's from inflation. It's from printing money, debasing the value of our currency. And that's why it's not even in the news cycle. Everything's overriding it because, it's not sexy to talk about how they're stealing from you every time they print money, which they do relentlessly. Just an idea of how much it's been debased. The penny was born in 1793. And today's penny, it would take 36 to 42 of today's pennies to equal the value of an original penny. And that has nothing to do with the fact that it's, the original pennies were actually made of copper, and, it's the reason they stopped using real metals in coins. The quarters and $50 and all that used to be actual silver too. If you find a quarter from 1964 before, it's actual silver, and it's worth way more than the 25 cents. They had to stop doing that too because they weren't worth it. Through printing money, they've destroyed the value of the currency, and all of a sudden they need to use cheaper metals because it's not worth it. So, how is it stealing money when they're printing? If you were to take all the currency all over America, all the American currency, there's a value there. If each dollar bill has a value, then you could take the cumulative amount of dollar bills and there would be a total value there. And when they print more of it, they're not adding to that value. They are just dividing the value that is there into more bills. If you had a full pepperoni pizza that had 8 slices, and then you cut all of those slices in half, and now you have 16 slices, do you have more pizza? You do not. You have hungry children. Now do that thousands of times, and you have people eating little slivers, and it completely destroys the value by dividing it like that. And it doesn't seem like that's what's happening because the dollar bill looks the same. It doesn't change. It'll look the same no matter how many times they print more of them. So it doesn't appear that anything is changing. Everything gets more expensive, but then they can try and shift the blame because that's tangible. So imagine, if you will, that instead of paper bills, we had gold coins. Just an anonymous, random gold coin. Now, they want to make more. So, a black-cloaked figure goes around to all the gold coins in all the land, to every house and to every bank, and he takes his sickle and he shaves just a little bit off the coin, almost unnoticeable, just a little bit off. And he collects all those shavings from all the gold coins and all the land, and he brings them back to his castle in Mordor, or whatever. And they melt all the gold shavings down, and they make more gold coins that way. Now, everybody who had gold coins now is left with, instead of a full gold coin, is a little shaving missing from it. So it's not quite as valuable. And when he melts all that gold down, and what's the term? Now, he forms more gold coins out of it. There's a word for that. I just can't think of it. Except, in this world, the rules of that the rules of such things are that when he prints more gold coins, he cannot print full gold coins. He can only turn them into the shaved versions. From all the shavings that he took off of all the gold coins now, the only thing that can be printed now is the shaved coin. It's no longer full. Now, in this world, it was very convenient. You would go to work, and for your day's labor, you would get paid in one full gold coin. And on your way home, you would stop at a marketplace and you would collect food and things that your family would need for the next day, which would also roughly cost one gold coin. That's very convenient. Now, for your day's labor, you no longer can receive one full gold coin. You receive one full shaved coin. But it is what it is, right? What can you do? And you go to the marketplace and you collect all of the things that your family needs to live and be happy the next day. And you bring it up to the man and he says, listen, all of these things that you have gathered still have a cost. And this shaved gold coin isn't enough. I need what the amount of a full gold coin would be. So now you no longer owe one shaved coin. You need to find a shaving to make it a full gold coin. That way you can purchase the things that your family needs to be happy the next day. And this is what inflation does. This is why things get expensive, because those things that your family needs, the food and all that, they all have a cost. There is, in absolutely everything that there is resources that go into making it happen. There's the labor, there's the resources, the materials. All of these things have their own value. They have their own cost. So he can't just make it a shaved coin's worth. That's just, then he'll be losing money, because that person, all the materials that he's gathering for you to buy, those have costs. And those costs are no longer worth a full gold coin either. And if this was the case, where we had a physical representation, it would be much more obvious. Now imagine, instead of just a shaving, let's see, the Federal Reserve came about in 1913. Since then, the money supply has gone up 4,900 times. Inflation, the cumulative inflation since the inception of the Federal Reserve, which is the place that prints money, is 3,080%. The purchasing power of the dollar since the inception of the Federal Reserve is down 96.85%. Almost 97%. We're sitting on a solid 3% of what money was originally worth. So imagine shaving and shaving and shaving a gold coin, and now all that's left from that full gold coin is just 3%, just a little nugget. Obviously, you can't feed your family off of that. So now people have to work longer, harder jobs, more jobs, and society becomes much more difficult. This is what printing money does. It steals from people. And you're already being taxed, 40% on every hour that you work? All of your money is being taxed when you earn it, when you spend it, when you die. But they're also printing it. So they're constantly devaluing the money that is sitting in your bank account while they're also stealing from you. And you can make the argument that taxation or whatever is not theft, but inflation and printing money really isn't anything but theft. They're just stealing the value that's within your dollar bills that are in your bank account or in your wallet, and they're making more of it. They're taking that value, they're siphoning it, and then giving it out to whoever. Raytheon, pretty much. Weapons manufacturers and foreign aid and whatever. So, yeah, that's what's been happening. So, just some numbers now that I've given you the metaphorical story. My father was born in 1959. I was born in 1986. The money supply between my father being born and me being born has been increased by 9.5 times. which has resulted in the purchasing power of that dollar has gone down 73%. So dollar bills since my father was born to me being born went down 73%. My son was born in 2020. Since in the in-between from when I was born to him being born, the money supply has gone up 6.4 times. And the purchasing power has gone down 57%. So that's 57% down from the 73% from my father being born. And here we are today after COVID, and they printed an absolutely insane amount of money. They increased the money supply by 22% from 2020, well, to now, to 2025. 5 years, they increased the money supply by 22%. Purchasing power of the dollar in those 5 years has gone down 18.5%. In just 5 years. The cumulative from my father being born in 1959 to now is the money supply has gone up 74 times and the purchasing power has gone down 91%. It's funny because he always says that, or would say before he retired at work, he'd say, I got $1 waiting on a dime. And now dollars are worth dimes from when he was born. Dollars are worth dimes. And this is what inflation is. Nobody understands it because nobody ever talks about it. The penny is no longer being minted because it's useless. It's worthless. It's like in countries like Venezuela where they printed so much money that you can just find piles of it. Like it's just trash. They just throw away cash because it's useless. Like you find pennies and stuff on the ground. Somebody drops change. What am I going to do? Stop and pick it up? If time is money and pennies are useless, then you are wasting your time by picking up dropped change. And that's one of the things that is a result of printing money. The Federal Reserve has done nothing but absolutely destroy the value of everyone's money since its inception. It's been 112 years now, and since its inception, we're working on 3% of the value of the dollar. That's where we're at. So, I hope you enjoyed today's message. And this isn't a partisan thing. Every president has done it. Your entire lifetime. Democrats, Republicans. It's the one thing that they can agree on. They'll pretend that we shouldn't do it when the other side is in office or whatever. But it's all just a farce. They're all pretending. They all print money. They're all for it. And largely because I assume they don't understand it either. These people they're mostly lawyers. None of them are like genuine economists, and even the economy that they teach now is all Keynesian economics, where it's printing money is viewed as like making value more accessible to people, which is just ridiculous. That is not the way it works. It's stealing money, and we have plenty of money in circulation for all of the population. It's not like there's somebody out there that doesn't have that just can't get money because nobody will relinquish it. That is not the way a marketplace works. Not that we have a free market by any stretch of the imagination, but people wouldn't just hoard money. It's not useful in that sense. But instead, by printing excesses of money, it just increases that divide between, below the middle class and above the middle class, and eventually the middle class disappears. But yeah, that's my rant for today. Rest in peace, penny, 1793 to 2025, and rest in peace to the purchasing power of the dollar. See ya. Bye-bye.